Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Before we get started, I want to give my sincerest condolences to the family, victim, and friends. This is a case of being privileged, being spiteful, and having a wealthy family. Welcome to the Dan Markel and Wendy Adelson case. So Wendy and Dan meet in 2004. They get married in 2006. And between 2005 and 2007, they're moving between Tallahassee, Florida and Miami, Florida. And it's due to Dan's job. Ultimately, they end up in Tallahassee, Florida in 2007, up until he was murdered in 2014. Dan is a law professor at FSU. Wendy also works at FSU as a clinical law professor and child advocate. They go on to have two sons, and after 6 years of marriage, the relationship begins to fall apart. And it begins to fall apart mainly because of their parenting styles. While they are both Jewish, Dan takes the traditions of being Jewish as far as eating kosher way more seriously than Wendy does. And he wants his kids to be raised traditionally. Wendy files for divorce on September 10th of 2012, and this is where all the drama starts. So after Wendy files for divorce, she packs the kids up and she goes to Miami to be with her parents, which is considered South Florida. And Dan is like, no. He threatens to bring her up on kidnapping charges. He threatens to go after her law license. But ultimately, he has the court in his favor, and she is court ordered to return back to Tallahassee because Tallahassee and Miami is 7 hours away from each other. So once she is required to return back, she then files to have herself and her kids permanently relocated to Miami. And in June of 2013, that motion was denied. So Wendy is now stuck in Tallahassee because she's not going to leave the boys with Dan, and this divorce is making the Adelson family livid. These two little boys are everybody's joy. Wendy's mother, Donna, adores her grandkids, and now Dan is becoming a problem. And it's reported that the Adelson family is a really close family, so when one of them have a problem, they all have a problem. So when the divorce is granted on July 31st of 2013 and Dan and Wendy are given 50-50 shared custody, the Adelson family is pissed. And now they start to fight the custody agreement. So around September of 2013, Wendy decides to date another guy by the name of Jeffrey Lacoste. He's a professor, associate professor at FSU as well. When I reference testifying, I mean in Catherine McBenowa's first trial back in 2019. She was on trial again in 2022, and we'll get to that in a bit. So Jeffrey testifies that they become exclusive at the end of February, beginning of March of 2014. He says between March and July is when they were considered boyfriend and girlfriend. So he was getting really close to her sons. He had met Charles, her brother. He had briefly saw her mother, and that the relationship was pretty serious. So he says the relationship begins to fall apart because he starts to question her loyalty. He says he doesn't find anything as far as any cheating goes, but she would disappear and she would come home really late. And for him, he felt like he was auditioning to be husband and father for her and her sons because they were having conversations about him moving in, and they were having conversations about what kind of car he should get and him not buying his own house. So he was just trying to make sure that they were on the same page before he continued to take, those next steps and potentially end up in a bad situation. So looking back on it now, I'm sure he's glad he didn't jump in head first because during the investigation, Wendy actually named him as a person of interest. So he was interviewed 3 times by the police, and during his interview, he was able to prove himself innocent. But he also told the police to look into her brother, Charles, because he previously mentioned that during one of those nights with Wendy, she expressed that Charles was looking into a way to get rid of the Dan Markel problem back in the summer of 2013. He recalls that the custody agreement is one of the main things that was a problem for Wendy, how she didn't agree with it from the beginning of their relationship. He basically said from the very first date. He finishes up his testimony that by the end of July of 2014 that the relationship had come to an end. He heard about the Dan Markel situation and he hasn't talked to her since. So while Wendy seemingly moved on with Jeff, the custody battle is heating up. So as you can see from the original affidavit, and you could pause to read it, on February 14th of 2014, Dan filed a motion stating that Wendy did not disclose all of her financial assets. Then on March 26th, he went and filed another motion stating that he wanted supervised visits with Donna, saying that she was disparaging him to the kids. And this was the last straw for the Adelson family. So not only have they been through a terrible divorce, they're still fighting for custody, and now Dan wanted supervised visits with their grandmother. In my opinion, that last motion had the Adelson family enraged. And because he was a professor and a lawyer, this motion was set to be ruled on in May, but got moved back to August of 2014 because of Wendy. And before they could rule on this motion, this happened. So on July 18th of 2014, Dan is sitting in his car on the phone when another car pulls up and a guy gets out and shoots Dan twice in the head. Dan initially survives the shooting because the neighbors called the cops, but later on in the hospital he was pronounced deceased. So the TPD begins to investigate this case as a homicide, and when I say they are taking this case serious, they are taking it serious. Not saying that they don't take all cases serious, but sometimes the Florida State Police Department be mishandling these cases. Anyway, they have a dedicated tip line just for Dan's case. The FBI is involved. They release images of the car, which is a silver greenish Prius. They're asking residents and businesses with cameras to contact the TPD. They have a reward set up for information to help solve this crime. And they reviewed the 911 call to the Consolidated Dispatch Agency, and it was determined that a human error led to the delay in Dan getting help. And this was all within 2 weeks. So remember I just told y'all they reviewed the 911 call. Well, in February of 2015, it was determined it took 19 minutes for paramedics to get to the scene. Still, with all of that information out, the TPD wasn't having that much luck. So in July of 2015, they released more information about the Prius, and an anonymous donor offered an additional $100,000 for information leading to the arrest and conviction in this case. So when I say the TPD isn't having much luck, I mean nobody's turning themselves in. But what's happening behind the scenes is the TPD has identified who was driving the Prius. They're aware of Wendy and Dan's divorce and custody issues. They've been going through phone records. They've been able to give wiretaps. The FBI actually does a sting, and I'm going to play that now. The date says April 28th of 2016, but it actually happens before that, and I can't find the original date. Anyway, listen to the call between the FBI and Charles.
Hello? Hola, diga. Hello, diga. Hi, who is this? Who's this? Someone's been calling my family. I'm trying to figure out who this is. In reference to what, man? Someone by the name of Sammy called? Yeah, that's me, man. All right, what's going on? Well, what's going on is my brother Tato. Okay, my brother Tato has not been taken care of. His family's not been taken care of. I talked to a dentist. Why are you calling me? Who are you? I gave the number to a lady. I don't know Tato. You don't know Tato? I'm sure you know Katie and Tuto. They've been taken care of since the family problem been taken care of up north. I don't know who you are. You don't? Well, this isn't going away, my friend. Because let me tell you something. I was at Broward with Tato, and he told me the whole story. He told me nobody was taking care of him. Nobody was taking care of his family. The family was taking care of Katie and Tuto, and nothing's been taken care of with Tato. So we know what's going on. And Tato needs to be taken care of. Do the right thing. The lady already has the paperwork. She knows what I'm talking about. We know Katie. We know Tuto. We know we've been taken care of. All right, let me look at it. No more f***ing around, man. No more f***ing around. This ain't going away. You guys need to do the right thing for Tato. That's my brother, man. That's my brother, and he needs to be taken care of. His family needs to be taken care of, just like Katie and Tuto have been taken care of. I've never met
met these people, but let me call you back, okay?
That's bullshit, man. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You know this lady. I don't know your relationship with this lady, but we know what the is going on.
Let
This
me
ain't
call you
going
back.
away. Take care of Tato just like you take care of Katie and Tuto, man.
Let me call you back.
2016 is where the case really cracks itself open. But since this video is getting really long, I'm just going to introduce y'all to the rest of the players, and then I'll be back with part 2. So if you're looking at the screen, you already know who all the additional players are. Catherine McBanawa is Charles Adelson's ex-girlfriend. Sigfredo Garcia, also known as Tuto, is Catherine McBanawa's baby daddy / on again, off again boyfriend. And Luis Rivera is his best friend, also known as Tato. So these three are important in connecting the Adelson family to Dan Markel's murder, but I'll explain more of that in part 2. Don't y'all find it strange that Dan and Jeff look so much alike? Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching.